Hey, Duck YouTube, and welcome back to a new video with me, Rams fan YT. And today I've got my guests with me. I've got Jonathan and Nathaniel, two ardent fans of the game. We've got a Newcastle fan and a Coventry fan, so can't accuse me of being biased on this one. How are you all doing?
Good.
I'm doing all
Very
right.
good.
Bit tired, but great. Yeah.
Great to hear. So today, these beautiful people have the unfortunate habit of going to football matches with me. So we're going to go through all the football games I've been to in 2025. And if they've been to any or have been to the ground before, I'll bring them in to hear a little bit about what they've got to say. But the first one they haven't been to, and that was Mickleover versus Basford United. And Mickleover won this one by 1-0 to 0. It was really a dire game with poor tackles, the pitch laden with snow, and a tannoy system warning people not to run around the edge of a pitch due to black ice. I did manage to get a customised pint glass, as demonstrated here, which is always nice from clubs, and with a Rudolph beer, a very festive one. It was nice that and a nice ground altogether, but the only goal came from a poor mistake by Basford in the 93rd minute. The attendance of 220 is poor for Tier 7, but probably unsurprising for a cold midweek match with Mickleover in poor form, which ultimately culminated in relegation at the end of 2024-25. So on to the ones which both of these have actually been to. North Shields versus West Didsbury and Chorlton. A 2-1 win for North Shields. It's in the FA Vars at its very best in the fourth round. Two goals coming in 3 minutes, giving North Shields the win. A very strong crowd of 647, the third highest of that round. And Michael Richards was also in attendance for some reason. At full time, several pyros were released and North Shields were sent into ecstasy. I remember a fan wearing a MAGA hat and a chant about a bus being on fire. Nathaniel, can you remember how that chant goes?
It goes, your bus is on fire. Welcome to the Madwell. Your bus is on fire. Welcome to the Madwell. Yeah, that's a
Hey,
that's a
there you go. That's your
that's
exclusive rendition of chanting on this longer form of content. Um,
a, mm.
what was the game like for you two then?
Uh, well, what's it called? Not, I remember that we had to stand up on a hill which had like the steepest gradient of all time, and you guys turned it into a slide. Um, to be honest, I don't remember much of the actual game, but I remember like the stadium, and I remember like the MAGA hat man. Really, an interesting choice in North Shields. Um,
Make
and
North
I also
Shields
remember the
great again.
pyro. Yeah, and the pyro after full time, and them saying they're going to go to Wembley. So, which I
Fair.
don't think actually happened, but yeah.
It unfortunately did not. Um, Nathaniel, what was your lasting memories on that one?
Um, I think there was quite a bit of action like from both teams. I do think North Shields got a bit tired a bit later on during the game because they did let one go past them. So um, it probably would have been better if I hadn't let most of these be scored. But then again, a win is a win. But I definitely remember the interesting chants and all the just and the steep slope and yeah, all the noise and then of course at the end the pyro just straight into our faces. That was
Yeah,
yeah, very fun. Yes,
that's
very good
quite
game.
something. It's on the shorts on the YouTube channel if you want to see what we're talking about with that, because it was quite something having the pyro just blasted in. The next one I went to was Blythe Spartans versus Mickleover, seeing Mickleover again in a very short period of time, and this time seeing Mickleover lose 2-1. A result that pretty much condemned Mickleover to relegation. Blythe Spartans essentially dominated the entire game, with Mickleover lucky to go into half time at 1-0 up. but they were murdered by the Spartans in the second half, losing 2-1. I remember a flag which said that Mikolova was just a bus stop in Derby, which did make me chuckle, and I did like the chant, "Take me home, Station Road, to the place where I belong, to see the Mikolova, to see the sport, take me home, Station Road." 402 are in attendance, and Blyth's attendances having been shrinking at an alarming rate, which will be demonstrated by the next game I see them in, I'm sure. But both teams were relegated from the Northern Premier League at the end of the season. Jonathan, I'll bring you in on this one because I've been to Blythe Spartans twice this season. Nathaniel came with me the other time. What is your memories of being at Blythe Spartans ground?
Very green, uh, and a very unhappy place, I'd say.
Mm,
I mean, when I went, it was 2024 still, but I'm assuming it was still the same season, and the season was not going very well. There's a club of a discussion between fans about whether clapping the players at full time after a loss was good or not, which was absolutely crazy. I remember coming away from the game, and it was the first non-league game I went to, and I was like, wow, this doesn't feel positive. This feels like I've walked into something I shouldn't have walked into. But yeah,
yeah. So it's a bit of a shame, really, how Blythe Spartans
yeah.
have fallen. Now in Tier 8, of course. They were in the National League North only a few seasons back and losing 3-0 to Bury. And we all know the story, what happened with Bury. But um, yeah, it's certainly, I think maybe remove the tag of the world's most famous non-league team or whatever they have on their Twitter tag.
Wrexham now, technically.
Well, Wrexham are no longer non-league.
Well, they're no longer non-league, but
But I would certainly not. I would probably say Bury is more likely to be more famous for Blythe
yeah.
Spartans at the moment. But uh, Jarrah versus Horden Community Welfare, a 2-all draw in this one. Perth Green is a bit of a bog standard ground at Tier 10 with two modern stands. The most interesting thing about its ground being that the food outlet is only accessible by walking through a library. Feel like Horden missed an opportunity in not chanting "Is this a library?" Interestingly, only one of the two stands was full, and with ultras of both fans in that stand at what must have been 100 seats. A real end-to-end game, which was pretty much a cup final for the Northern League Division 2 title, which Horden went on to win the league with 96 points, whereas Jarrah slipped to third, ending on 93 points. But I'd say it'd be the next best Northern League season I've seen. And with three sides on over 19 points, weirdly, it was actually the sixth place Thornaby who beat Jarrah on penalties after a 0-0 draw to take the second promotion slot. Northern League always punches above its weight in attendances, but 244 in attendance is extremely good for Tier 10, presumably due to the form of both sides. Jonathan, you went to this one. What was your thoughts?
Well, the cookie I got from the library was pretty good. I must say, it was a banging cookie. Uh, the game, the game was interesting. I remember the keeper for Jarrow was like a massive bald man. Um, he was, yeah, and then I remember it being like quite how do I describe this? The tension was definitely palpable in the game.
Yeah.
I remember there was a scuffle after full time, which was so pointless, but it's non-league football.
Oh, yes, I
And I also
remember.
remember there was
Yeah.
a what was it? There was a substitute for one of the teams who spent the whole 90 minutes sprinting up and down the touchline. So I don't know if he was considering a career change to being a sprinter or something, but yeah.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that fight at full time because there was a controversial decision towards the end about whether it should have been a red card or not. Um, and the fans just started fighting in the stands at the end. But I've never seen that much like tier 10. It's normally non-integrated, non-segregated. It's all integrated and stuff. And that's normally because they're quite well behaved, but clearly a lot was on the line. Um, Ashington versus Belper Town, which I went to. A long trek for me, a 2-all draw. I do shudder to think, really, of the distance the Belper fans had to make to get to Ashington to see a bit of a shithole. The media guy, though, from Belper did recognise me, and he dubbed me the nickname the Northern Department of Belper Town. All the action in the game came in the first half, with all 4 goals being scored during that time. It's a very exciting game for the neutral, and a draw was probably a fair result. I do remember a chant from the Ashington fans about Ashington being wonderful due to having a bar and a chippy. Clearly got to have a high bar to being a wonderful place in Ashington's view. The attendance rather was a decent 416. That was above the league average. Do you think Ashington's a wonderful place? I think Matombo Weed says it all, really. We're going to move on to the second time we went to North Shields. It was either against North Alliston Town or Kendall Town. We can't quite remember. It was a 2-0 win for North Shields. Nathaniel wanted to go back to North Shields after that FA Vars antics. However, it didn't really have that carnival-like atmosphere, quite predictably, probably for a league game. We went to Timer beforehand that morning to buy Newcastle kits, which is that the one which you're displaying now, Nathaniel? Is that the current Newcastle kit or one from last season?
This is the current kit. The one from last season I bought. I've still got it here.
Yeah, because we were going to go to a Tyne and Wear ladies derby game. And so we walked to North Shields ground along the river. Quite a nice walk. Both goals came in the first half, but they were both a bit scrappy, with one being an own goal. The attendance was slightly disappointing, 170. Nathaniel, what was your thoughts?
I can't really remember much from that game, to be honest. But I think my memories have probably gotten a bit mixed up with that one, the Kendall Town game. But given North Shields won, I'd say that's a win. Yeah, no, it is the same usual ground. I can't remember if we were in the same place as last time, but I don't think it was quite as busy as last time. So we weren't like, I mean, in the FA Vals game, like the stadium was so full, you had to go on the bank, but I don't think we were on the bank that time. But yeah,
Yeah, I think we went to the foot of the bank this time, if I
yeah,
recall. But yeah, I mean, it was your bog standing game. It's a shame that North Shields can't get promoted because of their ground. It's not got relevant ground criteria to be in Tier 8. They got relegated a few seasons back because of that. So Newcastle United ladies versus Sunderland ladies, with Newcastle ladies winning at 1-0. Not a classic for a Tyne-Wear derby on the women's side, but incredible atmosphere from both sides. The game was a bit scrappy without that gilt edge in passes and goals, but a 1-0 win to the Magpies was deserved. It was a great day out, and it was probably enjoyable to see large crowds attending with a WSL Championship attendance record of 38,502. We also got to see the newly claimed EFL Cup at half time as it was presented to the
Oh,
Geordies on the pitch, which was quite nice. You both came in attendance to this game. Who wants to go first?
yeah, I can go first. The game was pretty pretty mediocre, to be honest. I mean, it was very slow, and not much really happened apart from the goal. But the atmosphere was good, and the presentation of the trophy was pretty fine, except the microphones at the stadium were not microphoning. So it was just a video with muted volume, to be honest. And I think Nathaniel missed the trophy presentation from what I remember.
Mm.
Yeah, I think he went to the toilet at half time and missed it.
Yeah,
Well, we saw it later when they had a parade through
yeah,
town, didn't we? So
yeah. We saw the bus. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was a really fun game. It would it was great for the atmosphere. So this picture here was taken at that game. So we were so there is the Milburn stand. That's the east stand there, and the Alligators there. So we were on the from the Leazes. We had a really good spot. It had a really good view. It wasn't too high or too low, so you get a good view and get a good slice of the action. Yeah, I agree with you, Johnny. The game was a bit slow, and it wasn't like there wasn't a lot of action. It's just like it was only really around that. But the only really real there were a few chances, but it just kept either missing or shooting too far, something like that. But yeah, but apart from that, it was a great atmosphere, great game.
Fair enough. Hebburn Town versus Ilkeston Town, the first of the two times I've seen this fixture this year, and it was Ilkeston this time with a 2-1 win. The Derbyshire side were deserved winners of this game. It was all left last minute though, with Ilkeston going 1-0 up towards the end of the game. Hebburn scored on the 90th before Ilkeston made sure to claim all 3 points for a Thomas Marshall penalty in the 94th minute due to a stamp and a red card to Hebburn. The player who was sent off then had a scrap with his manager. I also remember all the balls which were being thrown from someone's garden, clearly from the match which had happened before or something. They were thrown over the fence and ended up on the pitch, which resulted in the grounds lady coming on and some amusing chants of from the Ilkeston fans of "Get your ball back out, get your ball back out, get your ball back out for the lads, get your ball back out for the lads." The attendance was 304. A solid 20 to 30 were Ilkeston fans and far, far more vocal. They're certainly a decent fan base, and I do enjoy going with them to their away trips in the northeast. We're going to go to the East Midlands now, where I saw Claycross Town versus Selston in a 3-0 win for Claycross. A very predictable result, which was the penultimate game of the season for Claycross, as the Derbyshire outfit claimed promotion to Tier 9, whereas Selston were relegated to the feeder leagues at the end of the season. I must say I've never seen better football played by a Tier 10 side whose passing and movement and speed was top notch and were worthy of the title win. The stadium was a new one to me and fairly interesting, with a couple of uncovered seating as well as the main stand, and it had some local beer as well, which is always nice. I also found out it isn't actually a castle on the logo, rather it's an entrance to a tunnel to a railway. The attendance was a solid 130 for a midweek game in Tier 10. Derby County versus Luton Town, where Luton Town won 1-0. I don't often have good luck when I go to Pride Park, and I remember a crushing sense of depression when we lost 1-0 against Luton on Good Friday. With boos echoing around Pride Park, it was a poor performance at home in a game we should have really been winning. Thankfully, we went on another great run to stay up. Meanwhile, Luton continues to flounder and were relegated at the end of the season. Another strong attendance by the Rams with 32,159 fans, showing why they are actually the best fan base in the world. Um, Jonathan, give me your thoughts Luton and Derby.
General thoughts. I would say the Derby, they were not doing very good last season. I remember. Um, yeah. Luton, obviously, because of the past with the Premier, obviously not the biggest fan, but yeah, I think Luton are probably in a worse place now than Coventry is. So there's only so much I can complain, really. And it's not that I want Luton to obviously suffer, but yeah, Luton are just a club who needs some stability, I think. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know how they're doing in League One right now, but
I believe they're mid-table, half mid-table, sort of around that. It's
I
really odd
mean,
because
Luton
Luton.
League One is quite close to it,
Yes,
isn't
League
it?
One is
So
very, very close this season. If you are a regular follower of this channel, you would know, based on my predictions, that how close some of this League One really is. You can really be thrust into a battle with only a couple of defeats or with a couple of wins, you're suddenly in with a chance of getting into the playoffs. Um, but yeah, Luton Town are an odd one. They came up from non-league. When I started following football, they were probably in about League Two and weren't a very strong team. Then they managed to slowly get up through the leagues and unpredictably sort of got past. It was Coventry, wasn't it, in the playoff final to get promoted to the Premier League, um, and did go straight down. Although I thought they were relatively good when they were in the Premier League at times, showing that underdog performance, but it was sort of all too inevitable that Luton were going to be relegated, and they got back-to-back relegated. Heaton Stannington versus North Ferriby, a 2-1 win for Stannington. A game which in the end had nothing riding on it due to other games beforehand, meaning that Heaton's survival was ensured. I do enjoy going to Grounsell Park. It was a bit of an end-to-end game, but you could tell that it didn't really have anything riding on it, with the pace being a bit more like a friendly. It's great that one of my friends goes to all the Heaton home games, that is, and therefore you get a bit more of an insight into this side. And this season they are looking to reach the playoffs again. Really a club going places. 362 in attendance. Great from a dead rubber game. Jonathan, you went to this one. What's your thoughts?
The Heaton Stan game was, yeah, I mean, at the end of the season, nothing really going on. Just a nice day out, to be honest. We went to the Heaton Stan last game. That was the playoff. Was it the playoff final we went to in 23-24?
Yes, we went to the playoff final the season before. Yeah.
So compared to that, it was quite interesting seeing the same team at the end of the season twice in a row. Um, it was a nice day out, nice May day. I think it was May. I don't know if it was May bank holiday, but yeah, I remember they had like a winger who was banned from the game, but was next to the touch line with his Zins, his him smoking. I remember being told that he's a very, very skilled player, and I remember he was, but his attitude. And I also remember the Heaton stand manager also being banned from the touch line, but
Yeah.
just standing behind the touch line, with a beer in hand, and then somehow ending up in the dressing room at halftime, which
He was just yelling
I don't know if
instructions
that's
from the hill,
allowed.
wasn't he, behind us?
Um, that was definitely considering they had like so many players and coaches banned. First of all, how I was very confused, and second of all, the ban was not very effective. Um,
Yeah.
it was a good game though.
Yeah, I don't think the bans on referees and non-league games really work when you can just stand behind the dugout and get pretty much the same level of distance. Um,
Yeah,
I went to a pre-season game of Asnocton and Austin against San Diego Town, with San Diego winning 3-0. This was a bit of a odd game in a sense, a very early pre-season friendly to a tier 11 club, which had a very small stand, which was more of a shed really, with no fixed seats in it, just garden chairs. I sat on a picnic bench to watch the game in the sun outside a clubhouse, and the game only had one official ref, with one of the linos being a girlfriend of one of the players, and the other one was actually a player. It was a shame, really, that no food was available. The official attendance obviously wasn't recorded, but it couldn't have been more than 30, with most of them being groundhoppers, including one of them from Peterborough. Um, have you ever come across such a thing of a lino being a girlfriend of one of the players at a ground?
was she a qualified liner?
I'm not even sure, but she didn't put it up properly. She would just go like that if it was like a throw in.
Were they in like the full Linos uniform, or were they just like in like a
No,
tracksuit or something?
no.
Okay. Uh,
It it reminds me of how football used to be. There used to be a time where you used to get a neutral umpire and an umpire from one team and the umpire from the other team. And what you'd end up is the three of them had to make a decision of which way it went. Um, that later on transpired why there is now a rule of saying only the captains can go and speak to a referee. Not that is ever followed. But Alfreton Town versus Doncaster Rovers, a 3-2 win to Doncaster in this pre-season friendly. North Street is a really old-fashioned non-league ground with plenty of terracing around the edge. Annoyingly, you can't actually bring alcohol to pitch side, presumably due to being against a professional side. I think that's a very silly rule for a friendly. Interestingly, it was 2 games of 60 minutes in duration, and with the likes of Billy Sharp and Luke Molyneux, it was always likely for Alfreton to struggle. But actually, I think they look really solid, especially London Fuster. So it has come as a shock to how bad they've really been this season. Um, yeah, I mean that ground was open to a fan forum being renamed, and one of the suggestions was Footy McFootface. Any thoughts of renaming a ground to Footy McFootface?
Silly name. Silly name. Yeah.
It's got a bit old, hasn't it, since the Boaty McBoatface? How long ago was that? About 5 years ago now.
It must have been about 10 years ago now.
It's certainly dating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Newcastle Benfield versus Pontefract Collieries, a 3-2 win for Pontefract Collieries. And my favourite competition in the entire world is the FA Cup, and it all starts in the extra preliminary round, miles away from Wembley. Not just in match terms. I think it's something like 11 matches to get there or something, but also the distance with Newcastle Benfield probably being one of the further away games from Wembley. And they were hosting Pontefract, who were in the league above. Um, I think you can't really tell the difference between the levels of Tier 8 and Tier 9. Definitely think Benfield had chances to win it, and a last minute goal to Pontefract didn't really represent the overall game. It was an exciting first half, 2-2. Bit of a weird ground, as they have a boxing machine, a summer house, garden furniture, swings, a beer garden, a shed, a gym, a food outlet, a bar, a tanning salon, a fruiting machine, and a whole living room in the stands, and a therapy place. The attendance of 144 represented the occasion. What is your opinion on the FA Cup, lads?
Well, I want to know how there's a tanning salon in a ground.
I think it's like attached to the side is like a separate building, but you go in to get a tanning salon.
That sounds
Cheeky
like
tan at half time.
that sounds like a holiday like park sort of thing. Like it
Yeah,
sounds like
sign me
one of
up.
those it sounds like one of those like all inclusive like resorts where you get everything you need in one place.
Your all-inclusive non-league package.
Yeah. Actually, really, it's all the extra bits, and it just happens to have a football pitch in the middle of it.
Yeah. Morpeth Town versus Ilkeston Town. A 2-1 win for Ilkeston Town. Ilkeston looked dominant for the vast majority of the game and could easily have scored more, with Morpeth's only goal coming in the 92nd minute, in what must be their only shot of the game. This game had everything: a penalty, an overhead kick, a red card, and controversially not a second red card, 2 brawls, a pint of Tetley's for best beer, and some fantastic away fans despite making a 300 plus miles round trip, with Morpeth not singing at all. The stadium is lovely though, with a 3G pitch and nice stands. Also, I'm now definitely recognised by Ilkeston with my Derbyshire flag, and we had the chance at half time of Derbyshire, 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 all surrounding me in the clubhouse. 410 were in attendance. Both of you have been to Morpeth's ground. What is your opinion of it?
I actually haven't.
Have you not trekked across the golf club to get there?
No, I am
did.
not.
You're a very lucky man, very lucky man. Okay, Nathaniel, what is your opinion on it then?
Uh, yeah, it is a good ground. I mean, there wasn't much in the away end. Like there's no season anything like that, but they got a proper pitch, a proper 3G pitch, and a pretty decent home stands, and what it seems a pretty decent clubhouse. But if you're walking to get there from the bus stop, you got to walk across, I think, like down a muddy path. It's like, and that was a bit annoying. So, if you are going to Morpeth, maybe wear shoes that you don't mind getting muddy. But
Yeah,
apart from
yeah.
that, I
Bring
think
some
you'll be okay.
Wellington boots.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of just get a shuttle bus. There was apparently at one point a shuttle bus, but I didn't see anything about it beforehand in it. I think they just need to get an actual bus line going down that road. It'd be much
yeah,
more convenient.
yeah.
Derby County versus Coventry City. The rivalry of this chat. But we're having a 5-3 win to Coventry City. An extraordinary game with Frank Lampard's return to the team he first managed. We definitely mirrored each other with a goal from a throw-in, and then a goal from a penalty, and then a goal from a free kick, each before Coventry displayed why they are top of the league by putting the Rams to the slaughter in the final 20 minutes. As Sanderson did look ropey, but definitely a game for the neutral. 30,465 in attendance, another strong turnout for the Rams. Coventry this season, Jonathan, what is your thoughts as a Coventry fan?
I'm a pessimist generally, so right now I'm not that optimistic. Um, yeah, we're doing well. Uh, it remains to be seen if we get promoted, but the season's been going pretty well on the whole.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
wouldn't be
I
surprised if
was most impressed seeing that they signed Romain Esse on loan. What a player!
yeah. Um,
He was certainly tearing up the
Coventry really
championship with
needs
Millwall.
the defense would the defense is what Coventry really needs, I would say, right now. But yeah, we're doing
Yeah,
okay. If we go to the Premier League, that'd be nice. We'll go straight back down, but we'll see.
it's that bonus money though, isn't it?
We
Okay,
can become a
on to
parachute
the
club.
next. Yeah, parachute club. South Normanton Athletic versus Staveley Miners at Welfare. A 4-0 win for South Normanton Athletic in the North Derbyshire derby. The Shiners absolutely thrashed the Trojans 4-0. This game was quite odd as both sides are in the hunt for the playoffs to or were were at that time, I don't know if they still are, but to reach the playoffs in tier 9. I do actually think the game was more equal than maybe the headlines suggest, but the third goal was an absolute stunner. I think surely a goal of the season contender. The ground itself was quite interesting with it being a modern ground but retaining the charm of an old-fashioned stadium. The weirdest bit was the goal music that was really bizarre. You can see that on my shorts. The attendance of 183 was the largest South Normanton had up to that point. I don't know if that's been beaten. But those sort of numbers would imply a tier 9 side in the waiting. I certainly enjoyed that ground. They certainly have the capability as well in that stadium to get at least to tier 9. Newcastle Blue Star versus Marine. Marine winning 2-0. A solid performance from the Northern East side in the FA Cup second qualifying round against a 3 leagues above them side in the National League North. Albeit it was a very defensive, heavy game from Blue Star, and credit to the home fans, mainly the young ones chanting and banging their drums all game long. I do feel the 404 in attendance may have been buoyed further if the match day tickets were reduced, but still a very decent attendance for a side in Tier 9. Macclesfield are the last one in the National League North today. They're kicking off in the early kickoff against Palace. Uh, Jonathan, do you think that's going to be a upset against the holders?
Well, I feel like it could be. Palace are looking pretty weak right now, if I must be honest.
I think that
But
must have been it would certainly be one of the biggest upsets of the FA Cup in all time if Macclesfield do manage to take out Palace. Um,
mm,
yeah, I should be doing a live watch along for that, but this video will probably come out after that has been the case, so you will all know as it is. Blythe Spartans versus Matlock Town. 2-1 win to Blythe Spartans. I was one of only a smattering of fans for Matlock in the ground in what has been was a disappointing display for the Gladiators, who should really have beaten Blythe. They are in the relegation zone, and Matlock are challenging for promotion. And we all know our history. The Roman Gladiators beat the Greek Spartans, but not in this case. Only 220 in attendance just shows the broad dissatisfaction with Blythe Spartans at the moment. Albeit they are still in the top three for average attendances in the NPL Division 1 East, despite their poor performances. And we created a Connor Washington fan club, didn't we? Who now plays for Matlock. Nathaniel, what are your remembering of that game?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Apparently, Connor Washington is a bit of a celebrity, so we decided to make a nice chant about him. No, the game was it's like it's kind of surprising because I think Matlock were quite high up and Blythe were low down, like in the league or in the table, and but Blythe could still come out and beat them. Like that was. But yeah, the performance from Matlock was not good. Just I seem to remember there were a lot of like long passes like made in that game. And that's quite if you have to make a lot of long passes, that indicates you're trying to make evasive maneuvers to try and stop the other team from scoring. So if you have to do that, that's like quite a risky position. The stand looks a bit like it kind of looks a bit like a shed sort of thing. Just a
Like a
giant,
cow barn sort of thing, yeah.
yeah.
The cow shed
It
end.
it looks a bit like a barn. So yeah, but and and yes, it was very green. Is that what's on your is that on what's on your background?
No, it's a different one.
Oh,
We'll get to that one.
mm.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Washington is not a celebrity. I mean, maybe he is. He's a former Northern Ireland international. Um, but he made like 16 appearances for the Rams as a substitute, and never played with them in the championship. Just got on our butts, and so it became a bit. It was a bit of an ironic chanting about him, but
Mm.
wonderful footballing analyst from somebody who watches primarily Premier League football and not the hoofball of non-league. I'd say Stockton Town versus Ilkeston Town, 4-0 to Ilkeston. Total demolition job by the Robins, who yet again didn't disappoint in their trip to the northeast. Stockton's ground was a new one for me, based next to a sixth form centre, which obviously was a source of ridicule for the away fans. Is this a sixth form? Is this a sixth form? The clubhouse was actually located on the other side of the school site. Quite an odd one to find, and having to carry my pint to the ground was mildly annoying on this Remembrance Day. The Ilkeston were playing lovely football, and yet again the fans welcomed me in. And weirdly, there was some form of segregation going on, but the stewards couldn't really move the 20 odd away fans. As they were just like, one of them called Richie just decided to stand behind this cage, which was where like this smaller 3G pitch was for kids, and saying, "Is this further enough away?" 735 were in attendance, though it does demonstrate that the Teessiders are one of the best supported teams in the Northern Premier League. I went with a mutual friend of ours called John. What's everyone's sort of thoughts of playing in a sixth form site?
That
That
sounds like sounds
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
funny.
it was an interesting one being that high up the pyramid in tier 7 and still being a sixth form site, but
It's like it's like it's like Cardiff Met, like like going to a Cardiff Met game, like it's in the middle of a university. Like, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean, I need to go and see some Welsh football at some point with you, Nathaniel. I think that's a good thing to do at
yeah.
some point.
I, I I'm not I'm not saying I've been to Cardiff Met, but they're a proper professional team, but they're basically this is also a university team, but maybe that'll be on me. Can't.
Yeah. The second time we went to the Tyne where Ladies Derby was a Newcastle United Ladies won 3-1 over Sunderland Ladies. An odd one. It was a far more rampant display by Newcastle ladies. All of the action sort of happened in a 20-minute period of the game between the hour mark and the 80th minute, in what was quite a cagey, oh, well, very cagey, really, opening half. It was quite poor for me to see the drop off in support this time round, and I think the whole atmosphere was incredibly flat in comparison for a Derby Day game.
Mm. Mm.
18,972 in attendance does just show a bit of a drop off in support this time around, presumably because the Premier
Mm.
League has for time weird Derby back, so they don't need this to fulfill their rivalry this season. But Nathaniel, what did you think?
Yeah, I think the atmosphere was not as good as the previous one. It felt a bit flatter, fewer people, not as good. Like as you can see from the photo behind me, like the the stands are pretty full. It was only in that corner there, that right at the top where there was no people, but it was considerably emptier. And like so, I mean, it was quite good in terms of action. There were lots of shots, on both from both sides. There were quite a few. Both teams had quite a few chances. So, but yeah, it was quite exciting to have all the Newcastle goals pretty much, or most, at least two of them within a quick succession. So that made for really cool experience. So yeah, I think it was a great game overall. I think that maybe trying to um trying to convert some more of those chances into goals earlier on may have made the score a bit different, but overall a great game. So yeah.
Yeah. Hebburn Town 5, Ilkeston Town 0. A rearranged game due to the FA Trophy and moved earlier than was initially expected, resulted in probably lower attendances. And what also didn't help was the torrential downpour all day. It was horrible viewing for any Ilkeston fan, and I wouldn't have blamed anyone who didn't turn up. Ilkeston's incredible form in the northeast flickered out, and you can see why Hebburn are top of the league and why Ilkeston briefly flirted with relegation during this time. It was incredibly poor defensively by Ilkeston, not really outstanding ability by Hebburn. They were just clinical, really. 259 fans in attendance was probably hampered severely due to the weather. One of my worst viewing experiences. We had about a month worth of rain in the northeast. Jonathan, you've been to Heburn's ground before. What is your opinions on it?
Well, I probably went to it like three iterations ago. So yeah, it's an interesting place. I remember when we went to Hebburn, it was a Saturday, and the only place open was like the Asda and the football ground. So it was quite sad in a way, but it was nice that the football ground was a nice thing in the community, and they're definitely on the up, especially after Jack Grealish, my goat. He was there with Everton when they used it as a training ground. I think it was for either for the Newcastle or Sunderland game, but Everton used the ground for training. So yeah,
There's your interesting little factoid about Hebburn. Yeah, they certainly every single time you go to that ground, there is a new stand or a new food outlet or something like that there. And they're preparing for National League North football, which will probably mean that they're going to have to throw up another stand, or something, or another turnstile, certainly. Gateshead nil, Warsaw 2. In the wet, miserable weather in a stadium that provides no shelter, I feel sorry for everyone who went to this game. Home fans for losing, and they haven't actually won a game since September now in the league. That is diabolical. And away fans, they had no cover at all in the torrential rain. Warsaw did the job, to be honest, and Gateshead did actually look like the team more up for it. The League Two side's quality shone through in this FA Cup second round. Only 1,608 in attendance is incredibly disappointing, really, for the FA Cup game. Maybe because it was on telly combined with really poor weather. And certainly things aren't great for the Heed right now. Jonathan, you've been to Gateshead's stadium before, haven't you?
yeah.
Yeah. What's your thoughts of the Gateshead International Stadium?
I mean, you might as well watch the game on TV because it's that far away. Um, quite expensive as well. Um, the stadium itself is just not that good for football, really. But I guess Gateshead have to do with what they do, have to do with what they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those. It would be great if they could move into a new purpose-built stadium. I think
Mm,
question marks would be about whereabouts that would be. There isn't many
indeed.
places in Gateshead for that to actually take place, and also it is one of them ones that it Gateshead's got a peppered history as it is of being able to keep hold of a football team, often taking one from South Shields. Um, if you know anything about the South Shields Gateshead FC history, basically a team's formed in South Shields, then would move to Gateshead some point down the line. Um, that's apart from the current Gateshead, which was formed as a Phoenix club of Gateshead United, which moved from South Shields, which was in turn a Phoenix club for a Gateshead that moved from South Shields. Um, Spennymoor Town versus Buxton, a 2-all draw. Another ground I hadn't been to before was Spennymoor, partly because it is a long old trek from Newcastle by bus, but also because they were charging 16 quid for a National League North game. Absolutely ridiculous prices. I was not then going to spend a tenner on a chicken burger, right? The Bucks should have won the game because there was a blatant handball in the penalty area that was not given, but I do actually think overall a draw was a fair result. Both goalkeepers made some truly world-class saves, and it would probably be argued as a good point for both sides. The highlight is definitely adding another pint glass to my growing collection now. Buxton could have made a better effort to travel when you compare them to Ilkeston, Matlock, or Belper for a weekend game. 1,048 were in attendance, a solid amount for the National League North. Jonathan, have you got any thoughts about Spennymoor?
Mm, to be honest, no.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's just 16 quid for a National League North seems absolutely ridiculous. And I think I've just realised that I've not been to a South Shields game this year. I'll need to correct that in the upcoming in 2026. Um, because my final one, and the one which is actually the stadium behind me here, as Nathaniel was asking earlier, is Quorn's ground, as Quorn won 2-1 against Ayleston Park in the Leicestershire Senior Cup. They avoided an upset with the Tier 7 side, showing a great level of performance against the Tier 9, with both sides hopeful of promotion at the end of the season. It was a fantastic game from neutrals, with both sides having great spells, and Ayleston's manager was suspended and being sat in the stands behind us, a bit like that Heaton Stannington one. It was a cold one, but it must be said that with it being to many an irrelevant competition, the Senior Cup, um, the County Cup, 275 in attendance is still a decent number. So well done to Quorn on reaching the semi-finals. Um, what's your thoughts of the County Cups?
I mean, they're good, I would say. I don't know if Nathaniel has a different opinion, but I think that they're quite like they're good for like the small clubs. But one like, for example, the one that Newcastle plays in, the Northumberland County Cup, if I'm right. Yeah, like when Newcastle's under 21s win it, it's a bit like, oh, what's the point, really? But I think there's a positive aspect to having all the local clubs from the area playing in it.
Yeah, I went to the Northumberland Senior Cup final where it was Newcastle under 21s versus Blythe Town. Um, it was a decent one. I mean, it's a bit odd going in St James's Park when it only has just over 1,000 people in it.
Basically, no one.
Yeah. Um, yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Please do subscribe if you're new around here. We've got plenty of content coming up in the next few weeks. We've got the predictions. We've got some secret things to tune into as well that I've got planned in the pipeline. Thank you to my guests, Jonathan and Nathaniel, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.